in my wizard robe. I don't know if this is going to be a short form or a long form. It's probably going to be a long form. I'm doing long-term training right now to rehab this elbow. Make sure I don't re-injure my rib or my groin. Lots of push-ups. Lots of training my ability to train. Training my ability to rest. Staying very active. I'll get really into like exactly how I do the program. You say it's going to take a decade, but the end result is going to be incredible. And you start with walking, push-ups, bodyweight squats, back bridges, neck bridges, hanging on a pull-up bar, and you just start training your ability to train. And you figure out exactly how you respond to that, and you treat yourself like a developing monkey. And you get really strong doing that. In fact, it's the only way of training I've ever found gets you crazy, crazy strong. And that is what I'm doing. And I'm up right now just consuming green tea. I'm trying to stabilize my sleep. I think I need to just completely... Well, I think I'm doing the right things. I think I'm just taking salt pills and drinking green tea, honestly. That's what I'm doing. There's a lot of other things that go into fixing my sleep, but I'll talk about those later. Ask me specific questions. Specific questions in the comments. But right now I want to talk a little bit about Gary Vaynerchuk and his observations on YouTube Shorts. And he's like, YouTube is the biggest searchable database, or second biggest searchable database or search engine, and saying how people should be investing in YouTube for this reason. And I've been saying this for a long time. I think it's really about investing in your ability to make coherent long-form content about life, because all language, all personality, it's sort of self-referential idiom in the end. Like, even if it references through another, it is all, like, language is all idiom. Irrefutable fact number one, language is all idiom. So if you're going to communicate in language, you need a lot of reference points if you want people to really understand what you're saying. So Alan Watts is best understood against Alan Watts, and then other people who have large numbers of data points. Terence McKenna is best understood against Terence McKenna. Nietzsche is compared to like later Nietzsche. This is just how people work. So ultimately, because of the supremacy of YouTube, and because, like, Gary Vee was also saying, followers don't matter. Like, how many followers you have is irrelevant. And I know why he's saying it, because you can still get a lot of views even if you don't have a lot of followers. And I think it depends, ultimately. Because not everyone's path to views looks the same. I didn't say they all look different, because some girl was like, oh, I made 200 to 300 videos and they're only getting 20 to 30 views each. And he was like, oh, stop doing that. I was like, I'm making, this is like probably video 2,300 and something. Actually, my videos do get a lot of views on Rumble now and across my whole social network. They do actually get a good amount of views. So, excuse me. That is very good that my videos actually do get a lot of views now, but they didn't for a long time, and if I quit, if he told me that, and I listened to him, that would have been bad for me. So I don't really buy into that, but at the same time, he is right that YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world. So hooking up to YouTube is a really good idea for longevity of video performance. Also, just the way the YouTube algorithm works, it'll promote old things if they're relevant. It has, like, YouTube was how the penguin thing came about. YouTube is very interesting. So, I mean, I ultimately think that you need to achieve a sort of awareness beyond all of these things, like YouTube, have like presence on all the social media platforms, and do in-person events, and have books, and have products, and have physical stores, and like all this stuff. Because at the end of the day, there's no substitute for diversifying attention. Because if people only know about you through the newspaper, and then everyone stops reading the newspaper, that's not good. So YouTube is long form, but even beyond YouTube, like Rumble is the same thing as YouTube. Like, I could just take this video library and upload the whole thing to Odyssey. I'm going to do that. I could upload the whole thing to any of these other video sharing sites, and I will. And it'll just be... I could upload this to my own server eventually. Like, I could have this anywhere. Like, this is ultimately a collection of my thoughts that I could take anywhere with me. So, it's not dependent on YouTube specifically. Though YouTube is a very useful part of this, and I'm very grateful to YouTube for existing. Like, I like YouTube. It's helped me a lot in my life, and I think it's a cool thing. I think YouTube is definitely cool. I'm not gonna be a black pill doomer and say all these things are bad, or like someone would have, well, I would have done that anyway. Nah. YouTube has definitely influenced me to do a lot of positive things in my life. From telling me about like NoFap, to making me aware of psychedelics, to making me aware of jiu-jitsu and wrestling and fighting, and allowing me to self-educate in a myriad of ways. I'm sure I would have found out about a lot of these things anyway, but YouTube's done that in its own way, and I'm very grateful, and I appreciate, and I like the experience I've had with YouTube. I'm going to take another salt pill with my green tea right now. Gonna cap some more salt pills. But I've also been uploading, so I've optimized my video content. I'm trying to optimize my video content. I'll kind of talk this through, and this will be very interesting to anyone who's trying to become popular on the internet. This will be very interesting to anyone who's trying to become popular on the internet. Maybe I'll make that the title of the video. Okay. And after this, I'm probably gonna meditate, because that will help me sleep. And And if I don't sleep, I'll just drink green tea and take salt, and drink green tea and take salt, and eat steak until I pass out. And it always works. I think I know exactly. So they say, how's the god of spring, like, how did the flowers grow? Not even the god of spring knows. I think I'm going to do something like that to fully restore sleep function. I think it probably has to do with not taking Vyvanse anymore. I think that just taking that at all is probably dysregulating my sleep. Maybe. We'll see. More reports on that, or leave a comment if you find that interesting. So I've seen people commenting on my old video series on ADHD and Adderall. So ultimately, I've been optimizing my video. Like, this is how I see media production. I see media production as basically talking, but just recorded. Like, video is just talking recorded. That's all it is. And you can edit that, you can make that into fancy documentaries and stuff, but it's really just talking recorded. People talk to each other, people are interested in listening to other people talk. Now you can record it and access it anytime. Makes a lot of sense. Like, people would go listen to speeches, people go listen to, like, charismatic cult leaders, all this stuff. Like, people love listening. People go to church and listen to people talk. People love listening to people talk. So now you can make that available. There's also, like, college courses or derivations of that. Movies exist on YouTube, like movies, plays, there's art forms like artistic videos. All of these things exist on YouTube. So, and just exist on the internet. People want to watch these videos. So video, like video content, is a major part of the internet, and non-pornographic video content is centered around YouTube. So, and though it's interesting, I don't see many art videos. Maybe that's because, like, my feed is not calibrated to that, and now I'm going to get inundated with art videos. Who knows? So basically, video content, major thing. Pictures, also a major thing. But pictures, I don't know. This is interesting. Like, why is Instagram... I guess because video content, in some sense, necessarily centers around word and visual. So you have the word, you have the logos, you have reason, and you have visual. You have reason and vision together. And art. So it's like there's this real, whereas image is just one thing. So really, video starts tapping into the collective unconscious. So for organization, video sort of organizes the internet, in my personal opinion. So you have video doing that. You have images online. Images are very powerful as well. Memes are very powerful. Memes get people elected or not. Memes are sort of like political cartoons. You have, like, YouTube is like speeches and books, and YouTube is very interesting. Instagram is just, like, in the middle, and that's really how I see it. TikTok is just shorter video content. So it really centers around this auditory visual thing, though you do see some people very successful with daily comic strips like SMBC, XKCD, it's not daily, but like SMBC has many best-selling books in Barnes & Noble. Zach Wienerschmidt, like City on Mars and stuff. How does he accomplish that? Well, he accomplishes that by simply maintaining daily attention by daily publishing with his comic strip. And then he uses that as a platform to promote his books. And it works really well because I go check out his comic strip all the time. I have all one of his books. So this is sort of, and that's on his own website, and that's something I admire, and I'm thinking about that a lot too. But right now, like, I like video because I like talking, I like doing this, and I like sharing these ideas, and I like how I can see how I am every day. Like, every day I'm different, and I can see that reflected in my videos every day. So ultimately, Um, for online internet strategy. I think that it kind of just depends. It really depends on you. Ultimately, if you have to know yourself. I like talking like this. So this is a strength of mine. Talking like this, explaining things like this, reading books, commenting on books. What I'm doing on my YouTube channel is reflective of my strengths. And that's why that works for me. And then I built this repetitive daily content machine that isn't really repetitive for me, but it's repetitive enough that the algorithm can use it, that people can adapt to it, etc., etc., etc. And that generates me a stream of attention that I can then... It's then like growing a fire, ultimately. I'm writing a book. I'm going to finish the book. If the book's going to be available, I'd like to have people read my book and let me know what they think about my book. I want to make my ideas available to people, and a book would be a more suitable way to do that because a book is more compact. Like, ultimately, you can listen to me talk about media right now, and if you like me talking about media right now, you probably like a book that I would write about media. It would be a lot more efficient. Right now, I'm kind of riffing about life and media, and there's stuff mixed in. An efficiently focused book on media would appeal to you if you like that. Efficiently focused book on metabolism would appeal to you if you like me talking about metabolism. So this is sort of how my reasoning goes and how I build my content around these things. So I build my content around these things. I test it on YouTube ultimately. Until, I guess first I did Facebook group, and I built up a Facebook group, Week to Warrior Kettlebell Club, check it out. Still going. And ultimately realized YouTube was where I wanted to be. Built up YouTube by just focusing on YouTube, and then once YouTube was going really well, I was just like, okay, now I'm just going to post the same content to other social media platforms that can host that content well. And I'm still figuring out which those are, but Rumble does well, Odyssey, alright, Instagram and TikTok and Facebook are actually giving me like 90,000 views a month, just those three put together. So that's going very well. And that's just more attention. And ultimately, if people like what they see there, they can come to my YouTube channel, they can see more. Then they could books, and then they could share books with each other. And I want to train myself to make as much diverse media as I can and really just make that a practice while also catering to my strengths, because as you can see, it's like Mozart, like how much sheet music that guy wrote. Quality over quantity, but you must engage in quantity in order to get to quality, in order to even be heard. And ultimately, what is quality? Like, I find this to be quality. I find Alan Watts riffing to be quality. I find Elliot Hulse riffing to be quality. That I find to be highly educational. So, and they get good at it by doing it like this. So this is ultimately quality of a sort. Other more edited, like if I were to make more mainstream, more mass consumable media, that would be another thing, and that would probably be even more widely consumed by my own audience. In my own audience, a small number of people watch all my long form, and the more people watch, the more consumable stuff. And it's kind of like its own sales funnel in some sense, but for attention. And that's sort of how it works. I've realized that instead of just like, I don't know, The Greatest Salesman's a really interesting book. That's a really fascinating book. And I just sort of started optimizing for just the most long term. I'm like, ultimately, long term is really all there is. Because you build a good enough long term system, you can ultimately get people to invest in it as like a banking investment. So, really, like long term, if you can just prove long term stability, that is really good. And that's where I like YouTube growing long term steadily. I feel like my videos will eventually influence the culture if they're not already. And over almost probably 620,000 views today on YouTube alone. So that's definitely having some sort of an impact. And just to continue that, I think that the point where I become mainstream is the point where my videos have spread ideas beneath the surface long enough that eventually there is no opposition to, say, cancel him. And that's sort of how the algorithm now works. But I mean, it's working, though. It's fundamentally working. So then I can increase that if I want to. I can automate that. I can automate that and then make these videos. I can automate that and make these videos while writing books and developing other things. And it's like, it is like a lot. It sounds like a lot of work, but I mean, I like this work more than other work. And it's work that I'm uniquely suited for, so that's fine by me. Like Winston Churchill held meetings in the bathtub. I'm doing my job in a comfy. And I'm proud to be doing it in a comfy. You know, I'm doing my job very well. And lots of people benefit by me doing my job. I mean, I benefit. I really do believe that. Like Elliot Hull sent a video I watched recently. It's the first video of his I've watched in a while. And he said, like, no, he's like, I'm not helping you. You're not helping me. It's like, I don't believe that. I think that when one of us shines, we all shine a little brighter. And I think it's a good place to end this. Subscribe if you want to hear more.